Nanyang Primary Mid-Year Practice 2024, Paper 1. Let's look at question 1. Part of a scale is shown below. What is the value of the reading at X? Okay, so as you can see, the first number we have is 9.7, followed by 9.8, 9.9, 10.0. So the number that we have at X, right, has to be 10 point something. What is one interval? Okay, let's look at the first one, maybe. The very first interval. So between 9.7 and 9.8, right? That's a 0.1. So there are 5 intervals between. You do not count the lines, but instead count the intervals. Okay, there are actually 5 intervals here. So when you take 0.1, you divide it by 5. You actually get 0.02. So this is actually an increase of 0.02. Alternatively, you can look at it as like 9.70, then this is 9.80. Adding a 0 doesn't change the value. So you can see it as almost like 70 and 80. It will be easier to see that actually the increase is a 0.02. So with this, you are adding 0.04 because there are 2 intervals. Okay, so answer is 10.04. Question 2. Find the value of 5/6 divide by a quarter. So we are supposed to apply keep change flip. Okay, which means that you are keeping the first fraction, 5/6, changing the sign and then flipping the fraction behind becomes 4/1 instead of 1/4. Okay, from here, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. But before we do that, we can actually simplify. Okay, we have a 4 and a 6. One in the numerator, one in the denominator. Both can be divided by 2. So you end up with 5 times 2 on top. Below it's a 3. Okay, you don't have to change to mixed number, so answer is 1. Question 3. Joyce baked some cookies. She gave 40% of the cookies to Zach. Zach ate 20% of the cookies he received from Joyce. Which of the following shows the percentage of total cookies that Zach ate? Okay, so firstly, we have 2 percentages. You do not add them up or minus them or combine them because this 80% is talking about what Joyce have at first. Okay, so 80% of what Joyce have at first. This 20% is what Zach received, 20% of the cookies that he received from Joyce. So since we're talking about like different totals, right? You cannot combine them. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to change one of them to a fraction so that it's less confusing. Okay, let's change this 20% to a fraction. 20% if we convert to a fraction is 1/5. Okay, so in other words, Joyce gave 80% to Zach and Zach ate 1/5 of that. Okay, so it's actually 1/5 of the 80%. So it'll be much clearer this way when instead of using like a percentage of a percentage. So I change it to fraction. 1/5 of 80% will be 1/5 times 80%. So that is option 2. Okay, 1/5 times 80%. Question 4. Square grid below shows triangle P. What type of triangle is triangle P? Okay, we have different options here. Obtuse angle, right angle, equilateral, isosceles. Okay, obtuse angle means that you have a triangle and inside the In the triangle, there will be one angle that is more than 90. Okay, that's an obtuse angle. Okay, but this triangle, no, all the angles are acute. Right angled triangle means that you have a right angle, but this one, no, there's no right angle within the three angles. And third one, equilateral. Equilateral means all the sides are the same. This one is not. So answer is 4, isosceles, because it has two equal sides. Question 5. In the square grid below, which shape is a rhombus? What's so special about rhombus? Rhombus has 4 equal sides. Two pairs of parallel lines, 4 equal sides. So from the first one, you don't have equal sides. I mean, you don't have 4 equal sides. Then the second one's a rectangle, third one's a trapezium. The last one is a rhombus because you do have 4 equal sides and they are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. So answer 4. But question 6, what is the area of triangle ABC as shown in the figure? Triangle ABC, to find ABC means we have to take half times base times height. Okay, and the base and height has to be perpendicular. So we're going to take CB as well as this 3 cm. These two lines are perpendicular. Okay, so the base is 12. 4 plus 8 is 12. And the height is a 3. So 5 cm will not be useful in this case. Okay, so half times 12 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So answer option 1. Okay, question number 7. What is the area of a circle with diameter 60 cm? Okay, so diameter 60 cm means that I have to find the radius first because area of circle is pi times radius times radius. So the radius is half of the diameter. So I'll take 60 divided by 2, which is 30. Then I'll use the formula. So I'm supposed to use 3.14. Then I'll use that. Then times pi times pi. Take note that this is paper 1, so no calculator allowed. What you can do is that since this is 900, okay, so I'll take 3.14 times 100, then times 9. 3.14 times 100 is 314. So I just need to calculate what's 314 times 9. Okay, do your working. 314 times 9, you should get 2826. So answer option 3. Question 8. Which of the following is likely to be the length of an approved scientific calculator for PSLE? Okay, so a calculator, you should know what it looks like, right? Because everyone should have one. So, which is the closest estimation for this calculator? Let's go by elimination. The first one, right? Okay, let's change it to cm. 1 meter is 100 cm. So option 1, if you multiply by 100, you get 1.8 cm. Okay, you shift the decimal point to the right two times, you get 1.8 cm. Then for for option 2, right, shift it twice, this is 18 cm. Okay, then you don't have to convert the other two. The first one, 1.8 cm, is like very small. If you look at your ruler, right, 1.8 cm is probably the width of maybe slightly bigger than the width of your thumb. That's small, not the calculator's width, not the length of the calculator. Okay, the second one is 18 cm. So imagine you have a ruler that is like typically a ruler, the short one will be 15 cm. So slightly more than that. Okay, so option 2 is the answer. 1.8 meters, compare it to your height. If you are about the 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 is just uh, a tall person. Okay, so definitely not 3. Calculator can't be that big, right? Okay, then the last one is definitely out of question. 18 meters. That's really long. Question number 9. Okay, so we have a bar graph here showing the number of cars sold from June to September. So which month was the number of cars sold half as many as the number of cars sold in September? Okay, so let's write down all the values first. For June, is between 8,000 and 10,000. So 9,000. For July, 12,000. August, 3,000. September, 6,000. So we want half of September. Half of September is August. Okay, so answer is 3 August. Half of September. Okay, then with this same graph, right, let's look at 10. Which of the following statements is true? Number of cars sold in June was 8,500. Okay, June, no, wrong. June is supposed to be 9,000, right? 9,000. Then number of cars sold in July was 3/4 the number of cars sold in June. June is 9,000. Then July is 12,000, right? 12,000, July. Okay, so is this true? Numbers look like they can give you 3/4, but they say that July is 3/4 of June means that July is less than June. Is it true? No, it's not true. Increase in the number of cars sold from August to September was 9,000. August to September, the increase is only 3,000, from 3,000 to 6,000. So no, not true. Okay, August is 3,000. September is how much? September is 6,000. Okay, so the increase is only 3,000. So no, not true. Total number of cars sold in June and August, same as the number of cars sold in July. So for June, it's 9,000. August, 3,000. July was 12,000. So it's true, right? 9,000 plus 3,000, it gave you 12,000. So answer is 4. Statement 4 is true. Okay. 11, last month, a florist sold 800 roses. This month, she sold 1,000 roses. What's the percentage increase in the number of roses sold? Okay, so to find percentage increase, right, you have to use this formula. Increase over original times 1,000. Now, what is the increase? The increase is from 800 to 1,000, right? So that will give us 200. So the increase is 200. The original, which one should we choose? 800 or 1,000? Now, the original means like what it started off with. So we start off with the earlier one, which is last month's 800. Times 100%. Okay, so both divided by 2, which is 1, divided by 2, which is 4. So a quarter of 100 is 25%. Okay, so answer option 2. Question 12. Figure below is made up of 3 identical quarter circles of radius 28 cm. Find its perimeter. Okay, maybe just let me highlight to easier to see. So I have the arc of a quadrant over here and here as well as here. So 3 arcs of quadrants, 3 quadrant arcs. Okay, so to find the perimeter means that I'm supposed to use the formula that gives us the circumference of the circle, and that is pi times diameter. So what is the diameter? Okay, diameter, 28 is the radius. So diameter will be twice of that, which is 56. Now the arc of a quadrant, let's call it a quadrant, one quadrant arc. It will be pi, which is 22 over 7, times diameter times a quarter, since I only want the arc of a quadrant. So I'll simplify this, the 7 and 56 can be simplified. Then I have the 8 and the 4. So I end up with 22 times 2, which is 44. Okay, if you look at the diagram, there are actually 3 quadrant arcs. So I'll take 44 times 3. 132. Now, what else am I missing? I am missing the straight lines here and here. Okay, so I need to take 132 plus 28 plus 28. That'll be 188 when you do your calculations. Okay, so answer option 3. So you're going to get 132 as an answer if you forget to add the straight lines, which is usually a common error. So always check to make sure you have added all the sides. Question 13, a lollipop costs 70 cents. There were 80 lollipops in a box. Janie bought 8 such boxes of lollipops for her class party. How much did she spend on the lollipops? Okay, so if one lollipop is 70 cents and you have 80 of them in one box, let's find one box first. Like, how much is it gonna cost? So 70 cents multiplied by 80 of them. And 70 cents multiplied by 80, if not good with multiplication for decimals, you can split that up to multiply it by, okay, let's do 10 first. Let's change the decimal to whole number. So times 10, then times 8. So 70 cents times 10 is $7. And from here, it will be easy. This is $56. Here, there's only one box and we have 8 boxes. So multiply 56 by 8. $448. Answer option 3. Question 14. At first, a rectangular tank measuring 40 cm by 30 cm by 30 cm contained some water, as shown. After Melvin poured 1500 ml of water into the tank became 1/3 filled with water. How much water was there in the tank at first? Okay, so first, after pouring in some water, right, we know that the tank became 1/3 filled. We can actually find the volume of the tank of the water when it's 1/3 filled. Okay, so we take length times breadth times height, so 40 times 30 times 30, that will give us the whole tank, but it's only 1/3 filled. So we take 1/3 of that, so 1/3 times 40 times 30 times 30. Okay, this is 1/3. Now, if I do this, right, I can take 1/3 times 30 first. So 1/3 times 30 will give us a 10. So I end up with 40 times 10 times 30. 40 times 10 is 400. 400 times 30 is 12. Then 3 zeros. Okay, 3 zeros behind, not 2. Then this is in the end, the water in the end, after pouring in the 1500 ml, you're gonna find at first, so you have to take it away. 12,000 minus 1,500, 10,500. Okay, so that's the amount of water at first. That is option 1. Question 15, last question for your MCQ. In a basket, 5/9 of the fruits are apples and the rest are oranges. 3/10 of the apples are green in color. There are 15 green apples. How many fruits are there in the basket? Okay, so firstly, I'm going to use a model. 5/9 of the fruits are apples. Okay, so when we talk about the total, I know that there's 9 units. Okay, out of the 9, 5 units are apples. The rest are oranges. Then we have 3/10 of the apples are green. So from your apples, right, try and cut into 10 units. You have 5 units, so you can easily just split every unit into half to get 10 units. So we do the same for the oranges. All right, so 3/10 of the apples are green, which means 3 units green. And that is 15. So 3 units is 15. 1 unit is 15 divided by 3. And then you are supposed to find how many fruits are there in the basket, which means the total. If you We originally had 9 units, right? And then we cut everything into half. So that means that we have 18 units. So we take 18 times 5. Answer 90. Here there are a total of 90 fruits. Okay, now let's look at booklet B. Again, no. So same thing, no calculators are allowed for booklet B. Question 16. Express 3 1/4 as a decimal. So if I want to express a fraction as a decimal, I'll have to change it to over 10, over 100, over 1,000. So what I can do here is I change the 4 to 100 by multiplying it by 25, which means that I need to do the same for the numerator. Okay, so do not touch the whole number. Whole number is still 3. So this is 25 over 1,000, over 100, which means it's 3.25. Question 17, the volume of a cube is 1,000 cubic cm. Find the length of 1 inch of the cube. So I have a cube. The volume is 1,000, which means that the length times breadth times height will give me 1,000. So for a cube, all the sides are the same. So you have to find what times what times what gives you 1,000, and that will be a 10. So the length of 1 inch of the cube is just 10 cm. Next question 18, we have drawing a diagram here. This is made up of 7 unit cubes glued together to form the solid here. Draw the top view on the grid below. Here, the top view, okay, maybe I just highlight so it's easier to see where's the top view. You would be able to see this, and this. Okay, so that's the top view. Imagine you are standing from the front. Okay, you're standing in front of the solid front view and you look down. So it should look Okay, use a ruler for this. It should look like that. Okay, so from the front, you look down, like from the top, right? You look from the top, and this is what you see. Question 19, figure below A, C, D, and B, C, E are straight lines. So you have this X here, and then you have 55, 114 degrees, 90 degrees. Find ADE, this angle marked out over here. Okay, so we know that this is your vertically opposite angles, means that they are equal because of the X. So what we're going to do first is to find out what is this angle, ACB or BCA. By using triangle ABC, right, we take, okay, let's write down angle BCA. We'll use 180 minus 90, the right angle, and minus 55, which is angle ABC. And this will give us 35 degrees. So this is 35 degrees, which means that this vertically opposite angles will also be 35 degrees. Now you have triangle CDE, for which you can use 180 minus 35 minus 114 to find your angle ADE. Okay, so 180 minus 114 minus 35. And you'll end up with 31 degrees. Next, in the figure below, we have a trapezium, and WX is parallel to ZY. So this is parallel. Then we have 56, 66, find X, WZ, which is this angle marked out. Okay, so if you have parallel lines, right, one of the properties you can use is your interior angles. So angles between parallel lines gives you 180. So don't choose the wrong angle to calculate, okay? You are supposed to choose the two angles between the parallel lines. If you choose this angle here in 56, right, then it's wrong because WZ is not parallel to XY. Okay, you have to choose the parallel lines, the angles between the parallel lines. So 180 minus 66. Because this and this gives us 180. And you get 114. Okay, question 21. Another angle question. So in the figure here, you have ABCD is a rectangle, and you have equal lines BD and BE, which is marked out already. You have 40 degrees, 260 degrees, find CDB. This angle marked out over here. Okay, so firstly, look at this 260. This whole angles at a point is 360, right? So I have 260 already. I want to find ADC, angle ADC. Sorry, ADE, ADE. So that's 360 minus 260, which is 100. So this whole thing here is 100 degrees. Then next, I have right angle because it's a rectangle. So ADC, it's right angle, which means that if I take 100, I minus the right angle, I'm left with CDE. So I find CDE. Okay, because this is right angle. So 100 minus 90 equals to 10 degrees. So this here is 10. And now I can find CDB, okay, or BDC. CDB will be 40 because this whole thing here is 40 isosceles triangle, right? So 40 minus away this small angle here will give me angle CDB. 40 minus 10. Okay, so answer 30 degrees. Okay, next question, 22. Find the circumference of a circle of diameter 28 meters. So to find circumference of circle, the formula you should be using is pi times diameter, and they have already given us diameter. Okay, so you take pi, which is 22/7, multiplied by the diameter. We can simplify 7 and 28, so both can be divided by 7. You get 4 here. So 22 times 4 is 88. That's the circumference of a circle. Question 23. Figure below shows a square and a quarter circle. The length of the square is 20 cm. Find the area of the shaded part. So the shaded part is otherwise known as like a boomerang. How we find that is by taking the square, area of the square, minus away the area of the quadrant, which is the unshaded part. Okay, so to find the square, simply 20 times 20, 400. Now to find the quadrant, okay, quadrant, we take pi times radius, and the radius is 20. Okay, don't take 20 divided by 2. The radius is 20. So pi times radius, and then times a quarter. So I'll simplify here, 20 and 4. Both divided by 4. 20 times 5 is 100. 100 times 3.14 is 314. Then to find the shaded part, I'll take a square minus quadrant. And I'll end up with 86 squares here. Question 24. A straight line EF is drawn on a square grid inside a box. G is one of the dots inside the box. It's not drawn. We're supposed to draw, locate where's G. Then draw two lines, FG and EG, to complete triangle EFG with angle EFG 90 degrees. EF equals FG. So if I were to sketch the triangle here, right? So EF is like that. Now, F, EFG is 90. So the 90 should form like here, here. So the G is somewhere there. And EF equals to FG, EF and FG. Okay, so something like that. Of course, use your ruler. Can't use my ruler here, but yeah, it's supposed to be straight lines. So okay, let's do the 90 degrees. Okay, how do you draw 90 degrees? If you have diagonals here, okay, slightly harder. Let me show you. Imagine this, the diagonal, right? Cuts across two squares like that. So when you want to do like a 90 degrees right angle, the line should cut across two squares as well, but the two squares will be perpendicular. So imagine this, you don't have to draw it out, but I'm just trying to show you like how do you how do you know where the line goes? Okay, so it should cut across two squares, so it should end up here. Okay, so something like that. When you draw the line. So this is G, where you have a right angle here, and then EF equals to FG. Okay, and with that, We remove all the other lines. Then you connect. Use a ruler and connect. You shape this. Here is what your triangle should look like. Question 25. A cuboid is 0.4 meters long and 20 cm wide. It has a volume of 20,000 cubic cm. Find the height of the cuboid. Okay, so firstly, the length is given in meters. You want to change it to cm. So 0.4 meters. From meters to cm is times 100. So you get 40 cm. So this is 40 cm. This is 20 cm, which means that I can actually find the base area. Right, base area. Okay, so base area 40 times 20, 800. Then to find the height of the cuboid, we take the volume, divide by the base area. So the height will be 20,000 divided by 800. So 200 divided by 8 will be 25. So answer for the height will be 25 cm. Question 26. In a school hall, chairs were arranged in rows such that there were exactly 9 chairs in a row. For a concert, Mr. Ong brought 6 more chairs to the school hall and rearranged all the chairs. There are now exactly 7 chairs in each row and 12 more rows than before. How many chairs are there in the school hall for the concert? Okay, so firstly, there are exactly 9 chairs in a row, but we don't know how many rows are there. So what we can do is draw this out. 9 chairs in a row. Every circle represents a row, and we have many rows. Okay, so 9 in a row. This is at first. Okay, 9 in a row. And then he brought in 6 more chairs. So I'm going to add 6. But I'm not going to draw a circle for that because I'm not adding rows yet. Okay, I'm just bringing in 6 more chairs. Now he rearranged the chairs. There are now exactly 7 chairs in each row. So every circle now is not 9 but 7. Now the number of rows is not the same. There are actually 12 more rows. So when I compare the rows, this means that there's equal number. And then beyond that, there's actually 12 more rows. So I'll take 1 row times 12. So the total number of rows on top, including the 6, has to be the same as the bottom. Then I'll compare my top and bottom, left-hand side, right-hand side. When I compare my right-hand side, the bottom has more chairs, right? So how many more chairs are there on the right-hand side? Bottom right-hand side. So firstly, 7 times 12. That is 84. 84, so this part here is 84. So when I compare this 6 versus 84, there is a difference of, okay, let me use another color. So let's call that total difference. Cannot really see. The total difference is when you compare 84 and 6, it's an increase of 78 here. You know, as I said earlier, right, the first row on top, all the chairs, right, it's supposed to have the same number of chairs as the bottom. But if I compare left side and right side, the right side has extra 78 more below, which means that there's actually extra 78 more on top. for the left side. So here, I'm minus 78 to go down. Okay, so it must balance on the right side. If there is a plus 78, then left side must be minus 78. It must balance out because the total is supposed to be the same on top and below. Then next, we look at each row. Each row in decrease by 2. Right, so 9 minus 7 is 2. So if I compare this, the total decrease is supposed to be 78. But if every row actually decreased by 2, then how many rows are there? So number of rows at first, because we are looking at the left-hand side. Okay, left-hand side only. So the decrease of 78, but every row is a decrease of 2. So I'll take 78 divided by 2, which means that there's 39 rows. Okay, so I write here 39 rows of chairs. How many chairs are there in a school hall for the concert? Which means I include the 6 that's added. Okay, because he brought in the 6 more chairs for the concert. So they're asking about the concert. So I'll take 39 rows of 9. So 39 times 9. Then add 6 to find the total number of chairs. Okay, so 39 times 9, 351. Then 351 plus 6, 357. So answer 357 for question 26. Okay, let's look at question 27. A total of 110 people stand in a queue for concert tickets. There are at least 3 women between any 2 men. What is the largest possible number of men in the queue? Okay, so let's picture this. What does it look like? At least 3 women between any 2 men. So if I have, they're standing in a queue, so it's a straight line. Between 2 men, there would be at least 3 women. Okay, let's write down 3 first. The question asks for largest possible number of men, right? So we want, okay, technically, you can say that there's 1 man, then another man here, right? At least 3 women means that it can go from 3 to any number. You can say that 110 people, 2 men, and then everyone else is women, right? They go in between. But we don't want that, right? Because that means that there's only 2 men. We want the largest possible number of men, which means that I want as many intervals as possible. Okay, and in order to get as many intervals as possible, I'm going to put the least number of women for every interval. All right, so I want the least number of women, which is 3 women. So that's why every interval, I'm going to try and put 3 women for every interval. So it should look like that. Okay, only by doing that, then we can have a lot of intervals, which means like a lot of men in between, because we want the largest number of men. Now the last person, so this is going to continue, right? The last person will be a man, because there has to be between women between 2 men, right? End off with a man. Okay, last person must be M. So firstly, I'm going to group them up. So one group will look like that. And then so on. Okay, and then group. But the last person will be not in a group. The last man, not in a group. So let's take away that last person first. 1, 1, 0 minus 1. The last man. get 109. So 109 should be one man and three women, right? So one group, how many people? One man, three women, four people. How many groups are there? So the number of groups would be 109 divided by 4. And you'll get 27, but there's a remainder of 1. This 1, right, it's not the man. The last person is really a man. You can't have like man and then man. So this last person means that in your very last group, you don't only have just 3 women. You actually have 4 women in the last interval, which is fine. Okay. You can't have this last person, this woman, woman, right? The one, you can't have that as a woman in an interval alone. Cannot. So that woman will join the very last group. Okay, so so this is the woman in the last group. Or I should say it's the woman joining the last group, okay, the extra person. Okay, so there's definitely 27 groups, not 27 plus 1, because this woman joined the last group, right? So there's only 27 groups. So 27 groups means that there are how many men? Each group has one. Right? Each group has one man. So 27 times 1. Then remember this last person that we minus out at the start, right? You need to add back because we're finding the number of men. So 27 plus 1, 28. Okay, so the plus 1 is for the last man that we took out, not for this remainder one. This is a woman. Okay, so the largest possible number will be 28. Okay, question 28. Li Yan had a bottle of syrup. She used an equal amount of syrup each day. At the end of 12th day, 1/3 of the bottle was left. At the end of the 14th day, the amount of syrup left was 200 ml. What was the amount at first? Okay, so first, at the end of 12th day, 1/3 was left. Straw model. Okay, 1/3 of the bottle was left, which means that this is for 12 days. At the end of 14th day, the amount left was 200 ml. Okay, with this, right, the 2 units is for 12 days. So let's say 1 day is 1 unit, which means that this will be 6 days. So 6 units, right? That's how we get 12 units. Okay, so 14 days. Sorry, this is also 6 units. So 14 days will be 14 units. The amount left would be 18 units in total minus 14 units, which is 4 units. So the 4 units will be 200 ml. And from here, we find 1 unit, which is 50. And lastly, you want to find the amount at first, right? Amount at first is 18 units. So 18U is 18 times 50. 900. So 900 ml is the answer. Okay, question number 29. A bit of a tricky one. The block of wood shown below was dipped into a pail of paint. The block was then cut into 4 identical cubes along the dotted lines and taken apart. Total unpainted area of the 4 cubes was 150 square cm. What was the volume of each cube? right? We are given this diagram and we are told that the unpainted area is 150 square cm. So you need to figure out where is the unpainted area, how many sites make up the unpainted area. So this 150 square cm will be the dotted lines as seen. Like the faces you cannot really see, right? But like it's the faces that are touching each other. So maybe let me just highlight. If I were to look at this middle part first, if you have like one, imagine this cube. Imagine you have one side that's unpainted, right? It means that another side of another cube will be unpainted as well, because that whole face will be touching another cube. So here, this green line itself, that's two sides. Yeah, two sides unpainted. Two sides. Okay. Now we look at the other two horizontal lines. So let's say here, this one, right? When you compare, so remember every one side of a cube means that there's another side of a cube that is not painted. So if you look at this cube at the end, right? One side of it is unpainted, which means that the side that is touching is equivalent to another side, right? Although it's like a partial of the left cube and the right cube, but those two parts will give you another side. So this yellow one will be two sides, unpainted. So same for this other side here. This one will also give us another two sides. So total unpainted sides will be six. So six unpainted sides is 150 square cm. So one side, the area of one side would be 150 divided by 6, 25. So since one side is 25 square cm, then 25 is 5 times 5, which means that this here is 5 cm. What's the volume of each cube? 5 times 5 times 5. 125. So 125 cubic cm. Okay, last question. Question 30. Three girls used the same number of beads to make necklaces. Devi used 2/5 of her beads, Esther used 3/8 of hers, and Farah used 2/3 of hers. They had a total of 1,440 beads at first. How many beads did each girl use? Now, take note that for this question, they actually use the same number of beads. And we're actually given like the fraction that they used. Devi used 2/5 of hers. Esther used 3/8 of hers, and Farah used 2/3 of hers. So what we can do is by using equivalent proportion. Equivalent proportion means you have a fraction of something equals to a fraction of something equals to a fraction of something. So in this case, since they use the same number, we should be focusing on a fraction that tells us what they use, which is all those that I highlighted. Okay, so I know that 2/5 of Devi will be equal to 3/8 of Esther, which is also equal to 2/3 of Farah. So by doing this, right, I'm like saying 2 units of Devi equals to 3 units of Esther equals to 2 units of Farah. So since all those numbers are supposed to have the same value, right, they use the same, let's change the numerator to the same number. Okay, so for equivalent proportion, we always want to make numerator equal. So common multiple of 2, 3, 2 will be 6. So when you change the numerator, remember change the denominator. So you times 3 here. So this is 6 over 15. We're not changing the value. We're just changing it to common numerator. And the last one is a 6. So you got times 3. So that's a 6 over 9. What this means is that they all use 6 units, right? They use the same number. So all of them use 6 units. But what they have at first will be in the ratio following the denominator. So Debbie has a total of 15 units. Esther has a total of 16 units. Farah, 9 units. Question said that they had a total of 1440. So you add them up, 15 units, 16 units, and 9 units. That will be 40 units, which means that 40 units is the total, 1440. Then we find 1 unit, so 1440 divide by 40. That will be 36. And back to the question, how many beads did each girl use? Remember, they use the same number. And look at the fractions that you have changed. Don't look at the old one. So all of them used 6 units. So we find 6 units. Answer 216. Okay, so answer is 216. So with that, that's all for Nanyang Primary Mid-Year Practice 2024 for P6, Paper 1.